and hopefully we'll have him again in the future. Thank you.
Good evening and namaskar. I'm back yet again for the concluding lecture on a portion of the Mandukya Upanishad. The subject is, Who am I? I was warned by some of the students that the audience might be very negligible because there is apparently a cricket match, which is very attractive. But, surprise, we have a fairly large number here, and you are to be congratulated for turning up for something like Mandukya Upanishad and Mandukya Karika, choosing it over the cricket match and other methods of relaxation on this Sunday evening. I'll just quickly recapitulate what we have done, the position where we are in at present before we go ahead. These are, what is in your hand, are the Karikas, the verses written by Gaudapada Acharya explaining the 7th mantra. Yesterday we studied the 7th mantra, and these are the Karikas explaining the 7th mantra, which we will study today with an aim of a deeper understanding of the 7th mantra, a deeper appreciation of the answer to the question, who am I? Remember, okay, one point here, just like yesterday, there are a number of typos here. Actually not typos, certain marks have not come on the paper, especially the bindi and the visarga, it has not come. I will tell you when we come to the karika how to correct it. Some spelling mistakes are there. Okay, where were we? The question we are facing is, who am I? And the smallest of the Upanishads, and maybe the most powerful of the Upanishads, the Mandukya Upanishad, they say that Mandukyam ekameva alam mumukshunam vimuktaye, for the liberation of those who want liberation, moksha, for them Mandukya itself is sufficient. And the 7th mantra which we studied yesterday is the core, is the heart of the Mandukya Upanishad. What did it tell us? It said, look at our lives. Throughout our day, we pass through 3 states. Now we are awake. Later at night, we will dream and maybe have deep sleep also. So, one of our states is I am the waker, and the next one is the dreamer, and then deep sleep. Let's call him the sleeper. These are not 3 separate persons. It is the one and the same person. We, you, or I, we all go through these 3 identities. And we'll call this the knower. What does this person know? The known or knowable. Or the known or the knowable. It is the waking world. Waking world means not that the world is awake, it means the world we experience when we are awake. Then there is the dream world. The dreamer experiences the dream world, and the sleeper experiences deep sleep. We can call it the sleep blankness. So this is the known. This is the knower and the known. What we experience in the waking, that in dream and in deep sleep. And what is the stage called? This is the waking stage, dream stage or state, better to call it the state. Waking state, dream state, and the sleep, deep sleep. And what we learnt was, by an analysis of these experiences, all of us have these experiences, nothing very spiritual about it. It's our day-to-day experience. The Upanishad says, take a look at these experiences. The waker and the dreamer are different. The dreamer and the sleeper are different. They are different from each other because what happens to the waker is not remembered in dream. What happens to the dreamer is falsified when you wake up, and to the sleeper is somebody else. I mean, they are exclusive. Just as a bangle is not a necklace is not a ring. They are separate from each other as bangle, necklace and ring. So, apart from this, there is a reality. How do you know there is a reality apart from it? Because though they are exclusive, they are separate, we all say, I am the waker, I who was awake, I who was dreaming, I was in deep sleep, and I am awake again. So I claim all these states for myself. Who is that I? Who is that I common to all these three? Yet they being different from each other, there is something common running through all of them, and that is pure consciousness, and that is what we realized as the Turiyam, the fourth. The Turiyam or Turiya, the fourth one. There is something apart from the waker, the dreamer and the sleeper, which is our true nature, the pure consciousness, and that does not exist apart from them, that actually exists in and through them. Just as gold is not found apart from the ornaments, but it is the very nature of the ornaments. In the same way, it is the pure consciousness which appears as the waker. It is the pure consciousness which appears as the dreamer. It is the pure consciousness which appears as the sleeper. Just like a gentleman who opens his shop and conducts business during daytime, so he is the businessman, and the same man shuts down the shop and goes to his room and watches TV, relaxes in the evening, and then goes to his bedroom and goes to sleep. Now the man is the same, but in one case, in the shop, he is dealing with the external world, buying and selling, and you can call him the shopkeeper, the one who has transactions with the world. In the second state, the same person, he has no contact with anybody else, but he watches a movie on the TV, and after that he goes to the bedroom and goes to sleep. 3 rooms, 3 types of activities, 3 names. We can call him the shopkeeper, the relaxer, and the sleeper. And three rooms are there, 3 types of activities are there, and 3 names are there. But the person is one and the same. It is the same person. In the same way, it is the same consciousness dealing with the external world like a shopkeeper, buying and selling with the external world, with a body and mind, is called the waker. And when he goes to sleep, imagines a mental world, a world created from his own samskaras in the mind, and we call that same Turiya the dreamer. And then nothing, blankness, in deep sleep, we call the same Turiya the sleeper. And again he comes back again in this form. Now what Gaudapada Acharya will do, he will explore this concept further and make it clear to us. And certain terms are introduced. These terms you must learn to understand these karikas. The terms are to be understood. Waker, he gives the name Vishwa. Waker is given the name Vishwa. Who is Vishwa? Who is this strange person? Nobody, you. Right now, all of us, what we are right now, Gaudapada Acharya calls Vishwa. Then the dreamer, Gaudapada Acharya gives the name Taijasa. These are the technical names are given, Vishwa, Taijasa. These are from the Upanishad itself. We have not gone through the mantras. The earlier mantras were there. In that the names have been given by the Upanishad. The one who is dreaming is called Taijasa, and there is a reason why such names are given. We will not go into that. When you are dreaming, you yourself, your name becomes Taijasa. When you are in deep sleep, the name given is Pragya. Pragya. Who are these strange people? You are Vishwa now. When you dream, you, the same person, you are called Taijasa. When you are in deep sleep, knowing nothing, blankness, you are called Pragya. So, who am I? In waking state, I am Vishwa. In dream, I am Taijasa. In deep sleep, I, the same person, I am Pragya. And these are the things which we experience throughout the day. What the Upanishad tells you is, you are none of them. You are actually in reality, in yourself. You are Turiya. Turiya literally means the fourth, number 4. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but the 4th. It is the Turiya alone who appears as Vishwa. It is the Turiya alone who appears as Taijasa. It is the Turiya alone who appears as Pragya. Okay. These are the certain terms we must learn. And then the state itself is called Avastha. avastha, state. And the waking state is called Jagrat. In Hindi also we call it Jagrat. The dream state is called Swapnaha. And deep sleep is called Shushupti. Sushupti. These are the names given. These are standard names in Vedanta, in Sanskrit also. Waking is called Jagrat, dream is called Swapna, and deep sleep is called Sushupti. And what do you see there? The known object, what you see in the Jagrat is called Jagrat Prapancha, this world. In dream, you see Swapna Prapancha, created by the mind. And in deep sleep, you don't call it Sushupti Prapancha, there is no Prapancha there, but the blankness, it is a potential state. These are the terms we need to know. Now we can go ahead. What he will tell us in these verses, let me sum up very quickly, then it will make more sense. A fundamental idea of Advaita Vedanta. See, ignorance causes error. There is a rope in the darkness, a standard example in Advaita Vedanta, stock example, a rope in semi-darkness. I don't know it is there, I see something, and the next moment it may not be a rope, it might be a computer cable, and the next moment I think it's a snake. The Sanskrit term is Rajju, Rajju means rope, and the term for snake is Sarpa. So Rajju is the reality which I do not know. Not knowing that reality, I suddenly mistake it for a snake, and I say there is a Sarpa, Sarpa Brahma. Brahma means delusion, mistake. What caused me to see the snake? There is no snake. But for a moment I actually saw a snake, a mistake, it's a mistake. What caused it? It is an ignorance of the rope. The reality, I am ignorant of the reality, I don't know what it is, therefore I mistake it to be a snake. Maybe because of my samskaras, somebody might mistake it to be a garland thrown away, somebody might mistake it to be a crack on the earth. In Sanskrit they say sarpa, bhuchidra, mala, these are vikalpa, these are vikalpa, the various types of mistakes we might make. But the truth is that it is a snake, and it's a rope, and my ignorance of the rope caused me to see it as a snake. So ignorance of the reality causes me to make a mistake about the reality. This is a fundamental concept. Just as I am ignorant of the rope and I see a snake, similarly the claim is you are ignorant about Turiya. And what do you see? Right now you are seeing Vishwa. You are experiencing yourself as Vishwa. Who am I? Upanishad tells you that you are Turiya. But what do you feel? What do I feel? I feel I am this person limited by body and mind. This is what I am. This is called Vishwa. Why do I think I am Vishwa? Because the Upanishad tells you, you do not know your true nature. Because you did not know the rope, you mistook it for a snake. Because you do not know yourself, realize yourself as Turiya, as pure consciousness, you think of yourself as a body and mind. This is the basic idea. Now see how he uses this. When we are awake, we are seeing this world, which is actually Turiya. The world is also Turiya, I am also Turiya. But I am seeing it as a limited knower called Vishwa, and I see the world as a Jagrat Prapancha. So I have an ignorance here about my true nature, and I am making a mistake by seeing this Turiya itself as Vishwa and as Jagrat. Okay, now let me go through this. First Vishwa, second Taijasa, third Pragya, and the fourth, the reality itself is Turiya. What happens in Vishwa, in the waking state right now, according to the Upanishad, is we are ignorant of our true nature, and we think we are this body and mind, this Vishwa, and we see this as a world distinct from ourselves. So we have an ignorance about our true nature, and we are making a mistake. What is actually one undivided reality called Turiyam or Brahman or whatever you call it, we see it as a multifarious divided world. What is actually Advaitam, we see it as a Dvaita world. I am separate from you. These are separate, discrete, independent entities. That is what we experience the world as. But this is not true. The truth is that it is one undivided reality which you are. So in this waking state, my point is, we have ignorance as well as error, according to the Upanishad. We are ignorant of our true reality and we make an error. What is the error? I am this body and mind, these are all separate from me. I am the Vishwa, this is my Jagrat Avastha. This is the error. Which means, let us make a table here. The Vishwa, the waker, right now, do we have ignorance according to the Upanishad? Yes. I don't know my ignorance about what? You will say, yeah, I have lots of ignorance about my maths and about my physics and about my mechanical or engineering drawing. Not that kind of ignorance. I mean ignorance about our true nature. Who am I? That question. I don't know that. I don't know the correct answer to it. Because I do not know that, I make a mistake. What mistake do I make? That I am this body and mind. So do we have an error in the waking state? Yes. So Vishwa has both ignorance and error. What about Taijasa in dream? In dream, just consider our dreams. What dreams you have? Do you ever feel I am pure consciousness in dream? We don't feel that. We just have another, like this waking world, we have another world we are constructing in the mind. So in dream also we do not know that we are pure consciousness. We are ignorant of Turiya in dream. We have ignorance. Do we have error in dream? Yes, we have error, because we are seeing a different world which is apart from us. We are seeing a dream body. Only after waking up we think it's a dream, but there it seems to be pretty real. Prajna, very interesting. What do we have there? I am asleep and it's a blankness. I don't even know that I'm asleep. I don't know anything. I don't know myself. I do not know the world also. Nothing. Just blankness. Now, in Prajna, do I have ignorance? Yes, we have ignorance, because I don't know I don't know myself. Who am I? Remember, ignorance about what? I do not know myself. So in Prajna we have ignorance. Do we have error? No. Very good. We don't have error. In Prajna we do not have error. In deep sleep, the error of Dvaita, that there is a separate existence apart from me, that error is not there. The knowledge of Advaita is also not there, but the error of Dvaita is not there. No error is there in deep sleep, but ignorance is there. I do not know anything. Let alone, I do not know who am I do not know the world also. So there is no wrong knowledge, but there is no knowledge, correct knowledge also. There is nothing, blankness in deep sleep. And they say, Gaudapadacharya will mention, in Turiya there is neither ignorance nor error. When we realize ourselves as Turiya, then there is no ignorance anymore. I know that I am pure consciousness, and there will be no error anymore. When I see this world, waking state will come again. I will see everything, but I know that it is not different from me. I am pure consciousness. What I am appears in front of me. I am one with all of you. I am one with everything that I experience. That knowledge will be there. That is why great saints and all, they have an instinctive identity with people, and they sympathize with people. They feel that sense of oneness with everybody. In Gita, again and again you will come to this term, Samadarshana. They have, Mitra and Ripu, friend and enemy. They have Samadarshana towards all of them. Deep inside they know, I am alone appearing in these forms. Towards wealth and poverty, they have Samadarshana. Sri Ramakrishna's story is that Taka Mati, he is throwing Mati, that means soil, into the Ganga, and also money. Samadarshana in what sense? That the one reality alone is appearing as Mati and as Taka. Not that everything will disappear. It will continue to appear the way it is appearing to you or to me. For the Jnani also, same thing appears, and but he knows the underlying reality. So for Turiya, there is no ignorance about who am I, and there is no error also. There is no error. He knows that I am all of it. when one realizes the Turiyam. All right. One more thing. Okay. Some more terms let me bring before you, then we will go on to the verses and we will be able to understand very clearly. There are certain terms which Gaudapada Acharya uses for ignorance and error. The terms he uses, I will just write it out for you. Ignorance, he calls it agrahanam. Agrahanam. Grahanam literally means grasping. Here it means grasping in the sense of understanding. So ignorance is agrahanam, not grasping, not understanding. In class also, when your professor teaches you, once in a while he says, have you grasped it? That grahanam is there or not. Agrahanam means you have not grasped it. So ignorance is agrahanam. Agrahanam about what? About my true nature, who am I? And error he calls anyatha grahanam. Anyatha grahanam. Anyatha grahanam means not only has he not grasped who am I, he has grasped something wrong. He has not only understood the true nature of the Atman, he has not understood, but also he makes a mistake about it. From ignorance comes error. So what does he grasp? He says, I am this body and mind. If you ask him, who are you? I am this person. It is anyatha grahanam. Anyatha means otherwise. So there is wise and otherwise. Yes. Otherwise grahanam. He has understood something wrongly. So in the class some students may not understand at all. I don't get what he is saying. And some students may say, I get it, but when you ask them, he's got it completely wrong. So that's anyatha grahanam, that's an error. And that comes from agrahanam, from ignorance. Another term Gaudapada Acharya will use is karanam. Karyam. Karyam. Karanam means cause. Karyam means effect. Cause, effect. Ignorance is the cause and error is the effect. I don't know the rope, that is the cause. Cause of what? Seeing a snake. How do you know it is the cause? The moment you know the rope, that it is a rope, immediately what happens? The effect also goes away. You no longer say it's a snake. You say it's a rope. Okay. So karanam is ignorance. Ignorance is karanam and the error will be karyam. Another thing, another term he uses, Gaudapada Acharya will see, is bijam. You can understand, bijam means seed. So ignorance is the seed. And what is the effect? The sprout, the plant, he does not use the word ankura, we can just add it. He means this. Ankura means a sprout, seedling. So what comes from ignorance? The seedling of error. What comes from our not knowing the pure consciousness? The seedling which is samsara. It's not even a seedling, it's a huge vatavriksha, the samsara we have got. A huge banyan tree. So many problems, 1001 problems. All of it has come from the small seed. Ignorance. Ignorance of what? I don't know this. I don't know who am I. Okay. And the fourth term he uses is quite shocking. He says nidra. And error he calls swapna. Nidra means sleep and swapna means dream. Gaudapada Acharya says, not knowing the true nature is sleep. You are asleep. And the error you make that I am this body and mind, I am this limited individual, these are my friends, these are my enemies, this is my goal in life, this is my failure, happiness, sadness, I have to do this, I have not done this. All this enormous samsara net which we have got in front of us, that error, he calls it a dream. Remember, the interesting thing is, in that case, both our waking and our dream, both of them Gaudapada Acharya would call dream. Our dreaming is error and that Gaudapada Acharya calls a dream. Our waking is also error because we don't know the true nature. In that case, Gaudapada Acharya also says that one is also a dream. In fact, this is a source where Advaita is supposed to say that your life is like a dream, swapnavat. It comes from this. Gaudapada Acharya says Both your dream it's also a dream, and the waking which you have got, that's also a dream. That's also a dream. There's a beautiful story about the Buddha. After getting his realization, he was walking towards Rajagriha, I think, and where he gave the first sermon, I think Sarnath, towards Sarnath. And the story is, a shepherd boy saw him and he was so amazed by the appearance of the Buddha. He asked him, "What are you?" Houston Smith, in his introduction to Buddhism, he writes, many people have been asked, "Who are you?" Very few in the history of mankind have been asked, "What are you?" What are you? Are you a Devata, a god? Buddha said, no. Are you an angel, a Devadut or something like that? Buddha says, no. Are you a human being? Buddha says, no. Then what are you? Buddha says, I am Buddha, the awakened. I am Buddha, the awakened. Meaning thereby, we are not awake. We are in the sleep of ignorance, making the dream of error. We are in the sleep of ignorance. We do not know who we are. And we are dreaming all sorts of dreams. That we are these individual bodies and minds, we are born, we are happy, we are sad, we are struggling, and we'll soon die, and it's all over. All the time, we are the consciousness illumining this entire drama, which is going on in front of this consciousness. So these are the terms Gaudapada Acharya uses. Agrahanam, anyatha grahanam. Not knowing, knowing wrongly. Karanam, the cause, ignorance. Karyam, the effect, error. Bijam, the seed, ignorance. Ankura, he does not say, we are adding. Nidra, sleep of ignorance. Swapna, the dream of error. And now we will go into the Karika, and then you can see we can easily follow with this background. Number 10. These are the Karikas written by Gaudapada Acharya explaining the 7th mantra of the Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, expanding on that mantra, clarifying the meanings. First, number 10. I will read it out and I will tell you the meaning in brief. Nivritte sarva dukkhanam ishana prabhuravyaya advaita sarva bhavanam devasturyo vibhusmritaha. There sarva bhavanam, that dot you should add, that's missing there. Nivritte sarva dukkhanam ishana. So there are some visarga and dot which is missing there. What does it mean? He says, Turiya, you see the word Turiya, he calls Turiya, this Turiya, Ishana. Ishana means Lord, Bhagavan. What we normally call Bhagavan, he says, you are Bhagavan. You are Ishana, you are God. In fact, this is the meaning of the Mahavakyas, Tattvamasi. You are that. This is God. God in what sense? Ishana literally means the powerful. Powerful in what sense? Nivritte sarva dukkhanam. He is beyond all dukkhas. He means you. In your true nature, you are beyond all suffering. When? Right now. Right now you are beyond all suffering. In what sense? Suffering belongs to the body or to the mind. Suffering belongs to the body in the physical world. Suffering belongs to your nightmares and dreams in the dream world. And potentially, it's all hidden in the deep sleep. It's not, you cannot experience it, but it's there. Again, when you wake up, the suffering will come. But this Turiya is beyond all that, untouched by the suffering of the waking state, the dream state, and the potential in the sleep state. Untouched in what sense? It is there. It will come. The pain in the body also will come to us and to the Jnani also. The difference is, we think it is, I am in pain. I am suffering. Bahut kasht hai. The Jnani feels, I am the Sakshi of this pain. The pain is there in the body. Mind also cognizes it is pain. And I am the Sakshi. I am not affected by the pain. He is not using willpower there. I have no pain, I have no pain. I pinch him and then ouch. Not like that. He knows I have no pain. It's just like the light falling on this. If the same sunlight falls on the ditch, falls on the Ganga, falls on the Himalayas, it is not polluted by the ditch, it is not purified by the Ganga also, it illumines. Your consciousness You illumine the suffering of the waking world. You illumine the nightmare of the dream world. You illumine the blankness of the deep sleep. You know, some people say in deep sleep there is no consciousness. Why are you saying the consciousness is illumining the blankness? I will tell you an interesting story. In Institute of Culture, Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, Gold Park in Kolkata, about 10 years back there was a conference on consciousness studies. So there was this neuroscientist, philosophers. Finally in one session, a philosopher, Indian philosopher, he asked a neuroscientist who had come from UK, he said, "Doctor, according to neuroscience, in sleep or you know, in deep sleep, for example, in this deep sleep, is there consciousness or not?" And the neuroscientist said, "No, in deep sleep there is no consciousness. According to our definition of consciousness, there is no consciousness in deep sleep." And this philosopher replied, "This is the difference between Indian philosophy and modern neuroscience, because according to Indian philosophy, in deep sleep there is only consciousness. In neuroscience, there is no consciousness in deep sleep. From the point of view of Advaita Vedanta, there is only consciousness in deep sleep." What does it mean? It means this. Imagine there is a vehicle, it is a very good example, climbing a hill, a car, and there are the headlights of the car with beams, and in the headlight of the car in the dark you can see insects flying past. If you have ever had that experience, you will know raindrops are falling, you can see in the headlight of the car, and you can see the beams of the car headlight. As you come to the peak of the hill, there is nothing in front, the lights shine out. Suppose the sky is very clear, moonless night, sky is very clear, the lights shine out to infinity. There is nothing, because the atmosphere is clear, the beams will not be defined. I mean, you will not be able to see the beams of light. Nothing comes in front also, because just empty space ahead. It will seem as if the light beams are not there, because there is nothing to reflect the light. But the light is there or not? Of course it is there. The powerful headlights are on, the beams are shining out to infinity, but there is nothing in front to reflect it. So the light is there, nothing to reflect the light, so you do not see the light itself. In deep sleep what happens is, Turiya is there, pure consciousness is there, but there is no thought, no body, nothing is there which is illumined by that pure consciousness. Physical things are not there, thoughts and feelings and emotions are not there, nothing is there in deep sleep. Therefore, the pure consciousness does not reflect anything, you have no experience. Anubhava comes when there is a thing which is illumined by consciousness, then Anubhava comes. In deep sleep it is not there. Yeah.
I just wanted to comment on the scientists. What scientists say, I think it's very logical, because they are not postulating they are not assuming the existence of the fourth state.
They are not.
And what you are saying is also just giving the examples.
Yeah, yeah.
You are not establishing that there is a fourth state.
Yeah, yeah. I'll come to that.
And science only, I mean, assumes whether it is connected by some experience. They don't sort of imagine unless there is a good reason.
Absolutely, they do not speculate. Now this is a very interesting thing, I'll come to that. The scientist takes a reductionist approach, says that consciousness is generated by the brain under certain circumstances, and we have the experience of consciousness, and they study it objectively. So he will say there is no consciousness, because first of all the patient or the person does not report any consciousness, nor do we see the brain activities normally linked with consciousness. If you do fMRI, you will not see that. Therefore we say there is no consciousness. That is the objective view of the scientist. Now what they are saying is, you take a subjective view. What is subjective view? Take a look at your own experience. If you say that there is a brain generating consciousness, what these Advaitins will say that all that is also within consciousness. That you are seeing a brain and you are making an fMRI study, and that is giving certain patterns which you say is linked to consciousness, all that is illumined by your own consciousness. They are saying that. And not only that, it is not that they do not establish this, they say it has to be self-established by you. They are showing you a technique. What they are doing is, the waking, dream and deep sleep states are non-controversial. They are just repeating, the term is anuvada, they repeat what is our day-to-day experience. They are repeating it to you. Now one step further they go, they say, see these features of these three states. From this, something comes out interesting. The waker, dreamer and the deep sleep, They are exclusive in a certain way because the experiences are unique to each. The waker's experiences are forgotten in the dream state because nobody who dreams will at that time will not think that I am sleeping under a mosquito net there. Otherwise, they cannot dream. They forget the waking state. So they have an individual experience apart from the waking state. And then deep sleep, they have an experience of blankness, which objectively might be interpreted as no consciousness. But consider this as a fact. When we wake up again, what do we say? I, the waker, I was the one who was dreaming. I was the one who was sleeping. Now, how do you know that? We assume it. We never say there was somebody else who was asleep, that there was somebody else who was dreaming, and I was not there during sleeping. We never say that. It would have been logical to say, if I am the conscious product of my brain, it would have actually been more logical to say, right now I am there, now my consciousness shuts down when I am in deep sleep, so I was not there during deep sleep. But that also seems rather strange to us. We normally don't accept that. We say that I was there during deep sleep. How I was there, I cannot explain. Now they say that it is this pure consciousness which is shining through the body and mind in the waking state, through the mind in the dream state, and the blank, no experience of body and mind in the deep sleep state. Now this has to be thought about. I am just presenting it. I am not saying this is conclusive, because that is why they say it cannot be established by argument. By argument you can only present the possibility. You cannot, it is not a mathematical proof where you have to come to this. A mathematical proof demands your acknowledgement, right? If you are following reason, you cannot say it may be this, but this is more like a court, lawyers argue and try to convince the jury that this is possible. So you can take it in this way, a possibility. Okay. Now, nivritte sarva dukkhanam ishana prabhu avyaya. Avyaya, unchanging. The waker, dreamer and sleeper come and go, this is unchanging. You remember the example of the station master? Trains are coming and going, station master watches. Similarly, you watch the coming and departing of these states. Advaita sarva bhavanam, very important. Sarva bhavanam literally means all existing things. Advaita, you the consciousness, you are non-dual with respect to these things. Non-dual means they do not exist apart from you. Advaita, na dvaita. There is no second independent reality apart from this pure consciousness. That alone appears as the knower and the known in these states. So, Advaita Sarva Bhavanam, you the Turiya, you alone are appearing as all these bodies and minds, and you are identified with one particular mind, just like we do in a dream. This is the claim. Next, in 11 to 14 to 15, 11 to 15, what Gaudapada Acharya will do, he will compare and contrast Vishwa, Taijasa, Pragya and Turiya to establish, to show you that it is possible that you are independent of these states. There is something within you which is independent of these states. He will compare and contrast. Now using these terms, so get ready, keep these in mind, you will easily understand what he does. 11. Karya karana baddhautau ishyete vishva taijasau pragya karana baddhastu dvautau turyena siddhyate dvautau turyena siddhyata. What does it mean? Vishwa and Taijasa are associated with Karya and Karana. Do you see Karya Karana Baddhautau? Vishwa and Taijasa, the waker and the dreamer, are associated with Karana and Karya. Karanam, ignorance. Karya, error. Vishwa has ignorance, does not know that he is Atma, this Turiya, and he has an error, he thinks that I am the body and mind experiencing this. So there is error here, and there is ignorance also, that is the cause. So cause and effect are both there for the Vishwa. Even in the dream state, Karya Karana, the error is there and ignorance is there. Do you follow this? What we called error and ignorance? Ignorance is Karanam, cause, and its effect is error. That is there in the waking state and in the dream state. Pragya Karana Baddhastu. Do you remember that table which we made? The deep sleep, the Pragya, the one who is the deep sleeper, he is associated with ignorance only, there is no error. It's just like if a rope is in complete darkness, you don't see the rope. If you don't see the rope, you will not mistake it to be a snake also. It's only when you partially see the rope, you will make an error about it and say it's a snake. Similarly, the deep sleep, in deep sleep, there is ignorance. It does not know that I am Atma, or I am Turiyam. But there is no error. He does not think that I am body and mind going through so many troubles. In deep sleep, there is no dukkha also. Very interesting. In deep sleep, there is no dukkha also. There are some interesting characteristics of deep sleep. The worst patient who is suffering with great pain, with maybe cancer or something, about to die, when that patient in the ICU is in deep sleep, does not have any problem at all. From his point of view, of course, body is dying, but from his experience, phenomenologically speaking, he does not experience anything, and none of the dukkha also. That's one interesting characteristic. The second characteristic is, my experience and your experience just now are different. You are experiencing in one way, I am experiencing another way. In our dreams also, your dreams are different, my dreams are different. But your deep sleep and my deep sleep are exactly the same. Not only that, the Upanishad says, if there is a deep sleep of a mosquito, a lion, a tiger and a human being, a PhD and an illiterate person, all of them, they have exactly the same type of deep sleep. The nature of deep sleep is same for all, because it's ignorance. It's complete darkness. There is no speciality, no differentiation there. Yeah.
It's like an absence of experience. I mean,
We don't experience anything. It's blankness. But they are saying, that's very interesting. The common way of thinking is we don't experience anything. But they are saying, do you not experience the lack of experience? Otherwise, what is the common experience when after we get up? I slept like a log of wood. I did not know anything. Sukham aham aswapsam na kinchid avedisham. I did not know anything. Now, you would not say that. The correct feeling would be, I was dreaming, now I am awake. I feel fresh. In between, I did not know anything. What does this statement mean? And there are many arguments on this. Some say that you infer it after you see the clock. Okay, 6 hours have passed, so I must have slept deeply. But it's not an inference, it's a direct experience. That's what they're pointing to. It's a very subtle thing, but what these Advaitins are telling you, you please consider that. Try to see it from their point of view. You will at least see something mysterious happening there. An experience, illumination of a blankness. Two questions, just I'll come back to the one gentleman there. Yes. We don't know. But remember, here we are not even talking about those things. That is at an objective level. You see a physical body and a brain going through so many changes, and you ask what the patient is reporting and try to come to a conclusion. Here, there is a subjective approach. What are you experiencing? And they are saying, if you experience anything as a separate reality, it is error. And that is because of you do not know yourself as Turiya. That's all they are saying. What about near-death experiences? What about coma? Those things are to be worked out, no problem. What they would say is, near-death experience or coma, those are all illumined by Turiyam. You are the consciousness there. Only thing is, here you don't think in deep sleep. There is no thought that I am sleeping. Thought again starts when you wake up. Okay. No realization, exactly. There is no realization also. And he will say that. There is no realization in deep sleep also. It is complete ignorance. He says here, pragya karana baddhastu. The deep sleeper is associated with ignorance. No realization. Absolutely no realization. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you one thing. What the Zen techniques, all of them, they try to do in all the schools. They try for an enlightenment called Satori. They call it Satori. They try to short circuit thinking. Stop the rational mind, and they expect an enlightenment will burst forth. But what Advaita Vedanta does, is says, don't stop thinking. You are in the waking state now, hopefully. In this waking state, you reflect upon, do vichara upon, reason upon your experiences of dream and reason upon your experiences of deep sleep. Waking, dream and deep sleep, just now in the waking state, think about it, what has happened. To realize this, you don't have to go into deep sleep. In fact, you should not go into deep sleep, otherwise you cannot realize. They say realization is possible only in the waking state, through vichara. Advaita Vedanta says this. What is then, closer to that would be Patanjali Yoga, where they try to attain samadhi by suppressing the modifications of the mind. But Advaita Vedanta says, they do not agree. They say, without any thought, if you want to exist, deep sleep is exactly without any thought. That has not led to any realization so far. Daily we are going into deep sleep. Till today we have not realized that we are Turiyam. So just going into thoughtless state will not help. But here it will, by vichara it will help. Let me give you one more example that will clarify the difference between the two. I have given this example some other time. Some very senior monk used to give this example. There is a child in a village who has not seen a movie, cinema. And nowadays, of course, you will not find such a child. You will not find such a child who has not seen a cinema. But suppose there is. And a father takes him to a city to show him a movie. And on the way, the father tells the child, Beta, you know what is a movie? There will be a screen, which was there just now. And there will be light projected on the screen. And you can see so many pictures on the screen. Parde par, wo chhabi dikhegi aapko. And that is a movie. The child says, okay. Then they go into the cinema hall. Now imagine, here is the interesting thing. When they enter the cinema hall, the movie has already started. So when the child first sees, he already sees pictures. So for some time he enjoys the movie, like all of us do. And then he asks a question to the father. Papa, ye screen kaun sa hai? Screen kahan hai? Aapne bataya tha, you had said that there is a screen on which the pictures are there. He asks this question, spiritual question. We enjoy the world. After some time, after a lot of enjoyment and experience in the world, we come to Mandukya class. So it's basically asking the same question. Where is the screen? You talked about a screen. And the father says, hey, in front of you, samne hai. There is a screen in front of you. And the boy says, maybe some Kurukshetra war is being shown, Mahabharata or something. And he says, samne, so that Krishna, Arjuna, that is the screen. Nahi, behind them, uske piche, behind Krishna and Arjuna. Behind Krishna and Arjuna, wo jo rath hai, the chariot, that is the screen. Nahi, uske bhi piche. Uske piche wo Kurukshetra, Yuddha Kshetra hai, wo screen hai. Usse bhi piche. अरे वो तो आकाश है, उससे भी पीछे. आकाश से पीछे मतलब कुछ नहीं है. नहीं, कुछ नहीं, ये सब कुछ है स्क्रीन. ओ कृष्णा, अर्जुन, रथ, आकाश, कुरुक्षेत्र, युद्ध, ये सब कुछ स्क्रीन है. नहीं, उस सबको छोड़ दो, निकाल के जो रहेगा वो स्क्रीन है. सबको हटा देंगे तो कुछ भी नहीं रहेगा, तो स्क्रीन कुछ भी नहीं है. This is the problem of the father. What will he point out to as a screen? Because wherever he points, there will be a picture. There will be a picture. I say, this is Turiyam. You will say, oh, this guy is Turiyam. No, the background is Turiyam. Now there is only one way. One way the child will understand is when the movie stops for the interval, the pictures stop, the lights come on. Remember, when the picture stops, the lights are off, darkness. So neither the screen is seen, no pictures are seen, and hall is also, nothing is seen. That is Sushupti, deep sleep. When the lights come on, he sees the screen. He understands. He understands. That is Samadhi, where you stop the pictures completely and you get an intuitive realization, this is what the reality is. But what Vedanta tells you is, you don't have to stop the movie. Stopping the movie takes a lot of effort. You don't have to stop the movie. Isn't it possible here, when I show you the screen and the pictures, isn't it possible to get an appreciation of what the screen is, in spite of the pictures? Remember, the little boy, when the movie starts again, he will never ask the question, what is the screen? Although the pictures are there, he knows very well what is the screen. Now the screen is completely covered with pictures, but the boy understands what is the screen. Similarly, in Advaita Vedanta, what happens is, in this waking state, when we think ourselves as Vishwa, as this body and mind, by vichara, we try to understand and appreciate what is the background reality, what is the screen here. If you can get it right here, then you don't need Samadhi. But Samadhi is very powerful. Sri Ramakrishna says in one place, Samadhi na hole thik thik hoy na. Unless you have that experience, you will never get a firm conviction about it. So, what you realize by this may be strengthened by samadhi, but the realization is possible here in this waking state through this process. That is what Advaita Vedanta claims. By reasoning alone, you can at least learn to appreciate that there is a background consciousness, which you are. That is the point. Let me go and finish, let me finish these other karikas. Now we come to what exactly what you are saying. There is no realization here. Number 12. Natmanam na param chaiva na satyam na pichanritam pragya kinchana samvetti turiya tat sarvadrik sada. The pragya, the deep sleeper, does not know itself as Atma or as the pragya also. It does not know the world also. It does not know the truth that I am Turiyam. It does not know the false anritam, the false world which is appearing, that also pragyam does not know. Na kinchana vetti. It does not know anything. That is the state of the deep sleeper. And how is Turiya different from it? Turiya tat sarvadrik sada. It always illumines everything. It is self-illumined about itself and about the world. It is like the movie where the movie hall where the lights have come on. It knows. Okay. Then 13. Dvaitasya agrahanam tulyam ubhayo pragya turyayo bija nidrayutah pragya sacha turyena vidyate. The 13th one tells you basically Dvaitam, a separate reality, error, separate reality is not seen by the pragya and by Turiya also. The pragya does not see anything, no Dvaita. Something separate from itself does not see, just as we see in the waking state. In deep sleep we do not see anything. Turiyam also does not see anything separate from itself, but the pragya is associated with nidra, with this one, ignorance, blankness, whereas Turiya does not have that blankness. This is the difference between pragya and Turiya. Pragya also does not see Dvaita, Turiya also does not see Dvaita. But pragya is covered in darkness, where the Turiya illumines everything. It sees everything as itself. Swapna nidrayutau adyau pragyas pragyah tu aswapna pragyas tu swapna nidraya aswapna nidraya na nidra naiva cha swapna turiye pashyanti nishchita. Those who understand this philosophy, nishchita, those who have realized this, what do they say? Adyato, Vishwa and Taijasa. This is number 14. Vishwa and Taijasa, they have swapna and nidra. They have ignorance and error. And pragya has only nidra. Aswapna nidra has sleep without dream. That means ignorance without error. And na nidra, naiva cha swapna, turiye pashyanti nishchita. The Turiyam has neither sleep nor dream. Sleep means ignorance and dream means error. Same point, it is being repeated. Then number 15. Anyatha grinhata swapno nidra tattvam ajanata viparyaseta yokshine turiya padamashnute. Anyatha grinhata swapna. What is swapna? What is dream? Anyatha grahanam. Wrong understanding, mistake. Seeing a rope as a snake, anyatha grahanam, that is a dream. I do not know the reality, I see an error. I see a dream world. Anyatha grinhata swapna. And what is nidra? Nidra does not mean snoring at night. Here nidra means tattvam ajanata, does not know the reality. Ignorant. Nidra means ignorance and swapna means mistake. Viparyaseta yokshine. When ignorance goes away, how do you remove these? How do you remove these? How do you remove the problem of the false snake? You see the snake, the rope is seen as a snake, mistaken as a snake. How do you remove that snake? Clap, drive away, chase it with a stick. It will not go. It will go only when you see the rope as a rope. You see the snake that it is actually a rope. When you see the tattvam, realize the tattvam, the error also goes away. So what you have to do is remove the ignorance. How will the ignorance be removed? By knowledge. Ignorance is removed by knowledge. When ignorance goes, viparyasetayokshinē, when the ignorance in these two states is reduced, is removed, how is it removed? By knowledge. Then what happens? You realize yourself as Turiyam. And what about the error? When ignorance goes, error will also go. When you realize the rope as rope, the snake will automatically go away. Actually, there is no snake which will go away. It's just an error. Then number 16. Question always arises. Then how did this ignorance start? After you talk about Advaita in any class, anywhere, somebody will ask the question, okay, we are in ignorance, but how did it start? So here is the, look at the answer. Gaudapada Acharya knows that 1200 years ago he has written this Karika. Anadi mayaya subto yada jiva prabudhyate ajam anidram aswapnam advaitam buddhyate tada. So there is Advaitam, it should be. This jiva, we the individual, who I am thinking of myself as Vishwa, the waker, one in ignorance. Anadi mayaya supta. Asleep in ignorance due to Maya. Since when? Anadi, beginningless. Beginningless. When did it start? No, did not start, beginningless. And that's illogical. How can ignorance be beginningless? But actually it's not illogical. In fact, all ignorance is beginningless. Let me ask you. If I ask you, sir, do you know German? You say, no. You are ignorant about German? Yes. Since when are you ignorant about German? Since my birth. Oh, so before your birth you knew German? No, your ignorance about German is anadi, beginningless, but it has an end. When does it end? When you take up a book on German and start learning German, a little bit of German you know, to that extent your ignorance about German goes away. So, ignorance is actually anadi, beginningless, but it can end. When knowledge comes, it ends. He says, anadi mayaya supta. You cannot say since when we are in ignorance. Yada jiva prabudhyate. When the jiva awakens. You look at the words Buddha. From that Buddha has come. When the jiva awakens, then what does he realize? The next word is so wonderful. He realizes, I am ajam. Ajam means unborn. Anidram, the sleepless, does not mean insomnia. It means I am without sleep. Aswapnam, without dream. Now you can understand, you can immediately map it. The big fact about the physical world is the body. And it is the body which is born. He says, I am never born. Ajam, he realizes. When he wakes up, to knowledge, he realizes, I am ajam. Ajam means, I am not born. Mera janm hi nahi hai. The body is born. I am not the body. There is a funny story about this. One of our Swamis, he had long discussions about Punarjanma, whether it is logical or illogical, whether it is possible or not possible. Then he went to an Advaitik sadhu. Then Anidram, no sleep also. Pragya, sleep means ignorance. So Anidram means not the Pragya, he is never the Pragya also. Then Aswapnam, not the Taijasa, not the dreamer also. Then what am I? Apart from them, yes, and at the same time Advaitam. Advaitam means non-dual. There is no waker, dreamer or sleeper apart from me. I am the only reality. These are appearances. It is not that there is a shopkeeper and there is a person watching the TV and there is a sleeper in the bedroom, 3 persons are there and there is one more real person. There is only one person who appears as the shopkeeper and the person watching a TV and sleeping in his bedroom. Only one person. And that is the Turiyam. You are the Turiyam. Next. Another big question comes. After realization, Swamiji, will this world disappear? Big burst of light will be there. World will disappear. Body, mind, nothing will be there. I mean, people ask, this is a silly question, but people ask, will the body live after I realize Brahman? Of course the body will live. Body will go on as it is. The world will also go on as it is. When you realize the sky is not blue, after that you open your eyes and look at the sky, what do you realize? What do you see? You see the sky is blue. The experience will continue to be the same, but your understanding will be completely different. Your understanding and your realization, your feeling about it will be completely different. That's the point he is making now. Very interesting verse. Will the world go away after realization? What does he say? Prapancho yadi vidyeta nivarteta na samshaya maya matram idam dvaitam advaitam paramarthata. Beautiful verse. You know what he says? He is being humorous here. Will the world go away when I realize Brahman? My body, mind, everything will go away. I will be light, Turiyam. He says, if the world was there, then the question of it staying or going away would have come. There is no such world at all. Will the snake run away after I realize it is a rope? The correct answer is, there is no snake to run away at all. No snake will go away. What snake is there? Will the snake die when I realize it is a rope? No. Why not? It will still remain. It will neither remain nor will it die. Because there is no snake. If there was a snake, the question of its going away would have come. When you realize it is a rope, will you say, will the wildlife people say there is now one less snake in the world? No. Number of snakes is still the same, because that snake was not there at all. Prapancho yadi vidyeta. If the world existed, nivarteta na samshaya. No doubt it would have gone away. But the world does not exist. So what happens? Maya matram idam sarvam. It is an error. Just like the snake was an error, it is an error. Maya matram idam sarvam advaitam paramarthata. It is one undivided reality. Advaitam, non-dual reality. You are all this. There is no world separate from you which has to be driven away. But will this all exist? You exist. This will continue to appear. Earlier it was appearing as something apart from you. Now with no doubt at all, you know you are one with everything. This is what will happen. Then this question, a gentleman you asked yesterday, who knows then? Who learns all this? If I am Turiyam, then who is listening to all this? Who is in error? Who will get realization? So the last verse here. Vikalpo vinivarteta kalpito yadi kenachit upadeshad ayam vado gyate dvaitam na vidyate. He says, all these differences would disappear, just like the earlier verse. All these differences, Guru Shishya, knower and known, I am the Ajnani who has realized now Turiyam. These differences would disappear if these differences were there to begin with. He says, Upadeshad ayam vada. All these distinctions have been set forth by the Upanishad for purposes of instruction. Because we feel it this way, Upanishad says, okay, you are Shishya, here is the Guru, here is Mandukya, read it, get realization. After that what happens? Today in the verse we saw Nirvana Shatakam. Na Gurur na Shishyam, na Mata na Janma na Bandhur na Mitram, na Gurur na Shishyam, Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivam. Oneness comes then. So Guru of Janaka Raja, he told him, I will give you Advaita Jnana, but first give me Guru Dakshina. Why? Because after Advaita Jnana, there will be no Guru and Shishya. You will not give me Guru Dakshina. So first you give me Guru Dakshina, then I will give you Advaita Jnana. This is joking. But the point is, these distinctions, they will continue to appear, but you know in reality there is no separate knower and known, no separate Guru and Shishya. To give a even deeper analysis, your question is not wrong. If you see this philosophy, that question is a fundamental question then. Who is the knower in this case? In the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in the Shankara Bhashya, there, after a long discussion, the Purva Paksha asks this question. Who realizes this? Who gets mukti? Turiyam is the only reality. Turiyam is ever free. So who gets mukti? Who realizes this truth? And Shankaracharya gives a very interesting answer. He says, why are you asking? Why are you asking? Then the answer is that the question was, who is in ignorance, who gets knowledge? That's the question. Shankaracharya says, why are you asking? Because I don't know, I want to know. If you don't know, you are in ignorance. Yeah, then you are in ignorance. Then who am I? Yes, come to this. Who am I? I am explaining this to you. It seems paradoxical. And in fact, this is the mark that there is something wrong here. Not in the philosophy. There it is Maya. And this is a sign of error, that if you logically probe it, at one place you will come to fault lines. In fact, all these philosophers, Nagarjuna for example, even Shankaracharya also, you examine the world logically, you will come to endless logical inconsistencies. They are known by Kant, they can't call them antinomies of reason. You push it. Even the question of, an example, small example I will give. Relation, father and son, guru shishya, knower and known, A and B. Relation always presupposes two terms, A and B, guru and shishya, suppose, father and son, or knower and known. Okay? Relation between two terms. So here is A one term, B is another term, R is the relation between them. Okay. Now, when this is posed, Shankaracharya raises the question, is this real? Yes. This is real? Yes. Is the relation real? Yes. In some sense, relation also is real. Then if these are two terms, then what is the relation between them? What is the relation between A and R? What is the relation between R and B? You will again have to posit one more relation here, isn't it? If this is one entity, these are two entities, there is a relation between them. Then what is the relation between this entity and the relation itself? You have to posit one more relation here. Same problem will come here, and you end up with a regression, regresses ad infinitum. It's a kind of logical inconsistency. So this can be argued about, but what they are saying is, this is a sign that there is some kind of problem with our view of the world. There is some inconsistency you come up. When you probe deeply enough, you come up with inconsistencies. Western philosophers also, Bradley, the book Appearance and Reality, Kant also, they all come up with this. And in our ancient times, Shankaracharya, Nagarjuna, the Buddhist, Shunyavadi, Sri Harsha, the great Advaitin, they all come up with these ideas that if you probe deeply enough, it turns out to be very inconsistent. There are deep inconsistencies in the world, and that shows that we do not understand something fundamental about the world. In any theory in science also, if you come up with several inconsistencies, fundamental inconsistencies, it means something more fundamental is there to be discovered. You have not yet come to a complete understanding. Okay. So these are the karikas in explanation of the Mandukya Upanishad mantra number 7. I have spoken enough, nearly 1 hour, more than 1 hour. We'll conclude here. I'll take questions if you have patience. Yeah, questions. Yeah, there's a question. Yeah. Do you need the mic? Okay. Just give me the mic. Yeah. In the dream state? Yeah.
In the dream state, we experience a sort of helplessness that we are the witness of the dream.
Yeah.
We don't create the dream as such, because whatever is there, we see it.
True.
Because we don't get usually, other than we don't get what.
Lucid dreaming, you don't get what is called lucid dreaming. That means you don't generate the dream. It's not like a movie which you're directing. It's not like that. So it's given to you.
That we have an experience of somebody who is showing us a dream.
Yeah.
So that doesn't come into all these things. It is said here that you have to see that you illumine the dream. So what does that to understand that?
Because you experience the dream, isn't it? Just as you are experiencing this, you experience the dream. I'll give you the logic here. Instead of looking at the things experienced, look at the experiencer. Instead of looking at that side, look at this side of the equation. Look at it this way. You are now looking at this Swami. Now you look at the table. Now you look at the wall. There are 3 objects you see one after another. Your consciousness plus this name and form is your experience of this Swami. Your consciousness plus this table name and form is your experience of the table. Through your consciousness plus this wall name and form is your experience of the wall. Table, Swami, wall, they are different from each other. But what continues through all these experiences of yours is your consciousness. The objects are different, and that is happening throughout the day, isn't it? Throughout the day, a consciousness is continuously illumining different objects, giving you experience of the objects. Normally what do? We focus on the object. Here is Swami, here is the table, here is the wall, here is Sukha, here is Dukkha. But in all of them, one consciousness is flowing through that. The objects keep changing, the consciousness does not change. You say, now I have one thought, now I have a different thought. How is it not changing? The thoughts have changed, the contents of the thoughts have changed, but the light, the consciousness which illumines these thoughts has not changed. This is what they are saying. Next, extend it to the dream. The waking state completely goes away. You are in deep sleep, or you go to sleep, you forget that you are on a bed and under a mosquito net and sleeping, but what is your subjective experience? Many things are happening, you don't even know it's a dream. people are there, animals and birds and buildings are there. You are also there in a body there in the dream. Now those objects are changing, but that consciousness, the same consciousness which was till now watching the waking state, is watching the dream state also. After some time, everything stops. This blankness, neither these objects nor the dream objects, nothing. That including your mind, even the thought I am somebody, that also disappears. And that blankness is illumined by that consciousness. This continuous consciousness throughout is what they are pointing to. That is illumining all experiences.
Is there mind in sleep?
In deep sleep, according to Advaita Vedanta, mind is in a potential state. Body, mind, everything is in a potential state from your point of view, not from the objective point of view. Objective point of view, the person, the fellow is sleeping on the bed under a mosquito net and snoring maybe. But from the person's point of view, it's just a blankness. And mind is in a potential form from Advaita Vedanta point of view. From Patanjali Yoga point of view, deep sleep is also one other vritti of the mind. Mind has several vrittis. So deep sleep is also taken as a vritti of the mind. So mind is very much there in deep sleep for yoga, Patanjali Yoga philosophy. Advaita Vedanta does not say that. In Advaita Vedanta, only ignorance, the pragya, only consciousness plus ignorance is deep sleep.
Because if ignorance is there, if pure consciousness cannot have ignorance, then
No.
something else which has.
So you have to. So they Advaita Vedanta speaks about a karana sharira, which is ignorance itself. You can say that the mind, the ignorance aspect of the mind alone is there. You can say that. Yeah, one. Go ahead.
From all this analysis, it seems that the Ishvara doesn't come into picture anywhere. Even Swami has written a book, Enlightenment Without God. So does this, it takes us towards sort of getting away from the God?
Let me tell you, in Advaita Vedanta, you see, we have not done the 6th mantra. We have gone straight to the 7th mantra. In the 6th mantra, it says, in deep sleep, you are this pragya associated with your blankness, ignorance. That's what we experience. In deep sleep, I am pragya with blankness, nothing else. This is individually. Now it says, you think about the totality of all beings. Consciousness, Chaitanyam, this consciousness, with total ignorance, ignorance of all beings. It is called Ishvara. In fact, the word Ishvara is used in the 6th mantra. What is this? This is the Turiam. Plus, this is Maya. The consciousness with the power of Maya is called Ishvara. Consciousness with the power of Maya is called Ishvara in Vedanta. Pure consciousness without the power of Maya, without reference to it, if you see pure consciousness, here Ishvara and you are one and the same. Ishvara is called Tat, you are called Tvam, so Tattvamasi. You are that. You know what Tat refers to here? Ishvara. You know what Tvam refers to here? You. Now, if you say you are Ishvara, it does not make any sense. How can I be Ishvara? I am not Ishvara from the point of view of the waker or the dreamer. As an individual body and mind, I am not Ishvara. Certainly not. I am an ordinary being. I have no idea who is Ishvara. But if you disregard the bodies and minds, if you take the consciousness alone, it is the same being. That same consciousness with the power of Maya creates this entire universe is called Ishvara in our religion. The same consciousness, if you take the individual Karana Sharira and individual Sukshma Sharira, is called one Jiva. If you disregard these are called Upadhis. If you disregard these Upadhis, take the consciousness itself, you and Ishvara are Abheda, one and the same. This is the meaning of Tattvamasi, you are that. This is the meaning of the Mahavakya and the Upanishads. Tattvamasi, you are that. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi in what sense? Aham, I the individual, Brahman, Saguna Brahman, there is a whole technique he knows, Lakshana is taken and it comes to the pure consciousness. This pure consciousness is the essence of God, is the essence of you. One Sufi poet put it very beautifully. Advaita Vedanta, but the Sufi poet says from an Islamic point of view, such a wonderful thing he says. He says, when I searched for Allah, I found only myself. When I searched for myself, who am I? I found Allah. So beautifully it is stated. When I searched for who am I found Allah, God. When I searched for God, I found no God, I found myself only. Both ways it's leading to this thing, Turiya. Any other question? Yeah. Yeah, it's coming, huh?
One is that they say that the universe is made up of Akash and Prana. So where does this Turiya fit into that?
Yes. Universe made of Akash and Prana, or the universe made of so many hundred and certain number of elements or particles or strings or whatever, all that is nothing but an appearance of Turiya. And I am not saying it just like that. The Upanishad says it. In Taittiriya Upanishad it is said, Tasmad va etasmad atmanaha akasha sambhuta. From this Atma, Akasha was projected. Akashad vayu, vayu ragni, ragni rapa, adbhya prithvi. So he says, the Upanishad says, from this Atma, Akasha was projected. Projected means what? From Atma to Akasha, how does it come? It is Atma alone misunderstood, error as Akasha. And from Akasha, Vayu, Agni, the Jal, Prithvi and the combination of this world. So in modern science you might say various particles, or you might say superstrings or whatever. So it is the Atma alone appearing in all these forms. And a very interesting article has been written, this one Ram Subramaniam, he is a professor of physics in IIT Mumbai. I think, Ram Subramaniam. He has written an article with another researcher, concept of Akasha in Indian philosophies and modern science, space. So very interesting article. He has considered various aspects. But the basic idea is, you yourself, the consciousness, you are appearing in all these forms. Let me give you an example. If I keep a mirror here, what will you see in the mirror? You will see all these young boys and girls and the gentlemen, ladies sitting here. You will see the tables, chairs, fan, light, everything. You will see the whole room reflected in this mirror. But actually what is there in the mirror? There are no human beings, no table, light, chair, fan, nothing. What is there in the mirror is just glass. That glass is appearing in all these forms. Now you might say, because it's out there, it's being reflected. Forget that aspect. Just take the glass, or you take the computer monitor. Inside that you can see so many things. Whatever you want, you can see in there. But actually, what is there? There is no cars, roads, people, stars and planets. Nothing is there in that. It's just glass. It's just a monitor, TV screen. Similarly, in pure consciousness, all this is projected. Swami Vivekananda puts it very poetically. Is a song of the Sannyasin. He says, one alone exists. In him is Maya dreaming this dream. One alone exists. In him, in Turiya, is Maya dreaming this dream. Dream of what? Bodies, mind, samsara, janma, mrityu, sukha, dukkha, everything. But actually, it's realized as one reality.
And sir, what is the use of all this? I mean, what does a yogi seek basically?
If you say what is the use is in fact the greatest possible use. What anybody is seeking, we are seeking only two things. We are seeking overcoming of suffering and getting bliss, anandam, happiness. In life, that's all we are trying to do. Not only human beings, even an animal is trying to seek happiness and overcome sorrow or suffering. And all of us, in all that we do, our highest research to the most erudite scholar, professor in his laboratory, to a beggar on the street, all of them are simply trying to avoid unhappiness and trying to get happiness. The objects in which we put our efforts are refined or gross. Now, what Vedanta tells you, what is the goal? The first question they ask, what is the use of all this? Prayojanam. Kim prayojanam? What is the use? They say use is atyantika dukkha nivritti paramananda praptischa. Complete cessation of sorrow and attainment of bliss. That is the goal. There can be no higher goal. There can be no higher goal. Yeah. We'll take, let me finish this. Yeah.
Sir, but Swami Vivekananda also said that everything comes in circles.
Yeah.
So if I am happy at the moment, I will be sad some other time.
Yeah.
So how can I get permanent happiness?
Yeah. Permanent happiness is not the happiness of the waker. The happiness of the waker is the happiness in the mind. What we talked about, मैं बहुत दुखी हूँ, तुम अपने दुख को जानते हो, do you experience your misery? Then you are not miserable, you are the knower of the misery in your mind, right? So that sukha and dukkha, the happiness which comes and goes in the mind, that's what most people are chasing. When you realize the Turiyam, it is not that you will go around with a, like a permanent smiley. Not that. You'll go around with a big smile on your face. What happened? I've realized Turiyam. No. What happens is you transcend the mind, you realize yourself as something apart from the body and mind, the reality, which by nature is happiness, which by nature is joy. That is bliss. That's why they use the term bliss instead of sukha. That is beyond sukha and dukkha. You remember today in the morning we did that Nirvana Shatakam, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. There he says, na saukhyam na dukkham, neither sukha nor dukkha. Okay. Then what? Chidananda. Then he uses the word Ananda. I am Ananda. And what it's the difference is like this. Experiencing sukha and being Ananda. What's the difference? It's like I have a face and I see it in the mirror. When I see it in the mirror, it's my face is reflected in the mirror. Here what happens is, when our innate Ananda is reflected in the mind, we get what is called sukha. And we chase that. That's what we normally understand as happiness. But when you realize yourself as Turiyam, you are no longer dependent on the mind. It's like, I know that I have this face, I don't always need a mirror to keep on looking at my face. If the mirror goes away, my face is still there. If the mirror goes away, my face is still there. So, you realize yourself as Ananda Swarupam. Swami Vivekananda puts it very beautifully when he says, what is the meaning of Satchidananda? It is not that the Atman exists, it is existence itself. It is not that the Atman knows, it is knowledge itself. It is not that the Atman is happy, it is happiness itself. That takes some time to explain, but you can understand in these terms. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Question?
Sir, you said that once the ignorance is removed, then the error goes off itself.
Yeah.
So, sir, now we have come to know that okay, we are not waking, we are not praying, we have the
Turiyam. Yeah.
So, is it that we have lost, the ignorance has been removed?
No.
No. We have to gain some knowledge, but
Yeah.
exactly that knowledge is.
True. That is a good question. What do we know? What now you say that knowledge will remove ignorance will, and when ignorance goes, error will go away. Now the question is, what knowledge? What knowledge? Isn't this knowledge? Yes. Advaita Vedanta says this is called paroksha jnana. Paroksha means indirect knowledge, not direct. So what is my direct knowledge? That I am this body and mind. What is the indirect knowledge? I have read in a book or heard in a lecture, I am not body and mind, I am something called pure consciousness within quotes. Now, the principle is, indirect knowledge can never cut away direct ignorance. It has to be direct knowledge. I must actually feel it so, otherwise it will not go away. It must come directly. How will that come? There is a process, they call it Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. Mananam, Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. Shravanam, hearing, literally means hearing. Mananam, thinking, reasoning. Nididhyasanam, meditation. What happens? This is a very rough way of putting it, but the precise meaning is this. I'll just tell you in one sentence each what is it. Shravanam is systematically listening to these truths or studying these truths, systematically. When is Shravanam complete? When is it successful? At the end of Shravanam, you must be able to claim that I have understood what they want to say. I have understood what they want to say. What the Swami was trying to teach, I have understood it. I have grasped it, grahanam, I have grasped it, at least intellectually I have grasped what he is trying to say. That is the end of Shravanam. Isn't that enough? No, that is not enough. What will happen after this is, okay, I get it, what you are trying to say. I studied it systematically, what the Upanishad is trying to say, I get it, but I don't believe it. I understand what you are saying, but I don't believe it. Why? There are so many doubts now. Unless you understand, there can be no doubts. If I simply don't get it, what is Turiya, what is Vishwa, all this is completely confusing, then Shravanam is to be repeated. You have to get it clear. Once it is clear, okay, they are saying that I am pure consciousness. Well, I don't buy it. I don't believe it. Why don't you buy it? Why don't you believe it? Take up your doubts one by one. And those doubts are to be cleared away at this stage called Mananam. And there are whole books devoted to this. Every possible question you can imagine, and though many which you cannot imagine also, they have been asked. And they have been answered. I mean, I still have not faced a question which I have not been able to think out to my satisfaction at least. So, Mananam. At the end of Mananam, how do you know Mananam is over? At the end of Mananam, you will say, I am convinced, I believe it. At the end of Shravanam, I get it, what you are trying to say. At the end, but the doubt is, I don't believe it. At the end of Mananam, okay, it's possible. I think this is true. I think this is true. I believe it is true. But again, what is the problem? I don't feel it. I still feel I am this body and mind. I don't feel it. It's not a living reality. It's something that I have understood and I believe it, but I don't feel it yet. It's not living for me. If somebody pierces my hand, pinches me, I say, oh, it hurts. Now, this truth which you have understood and now you are convinced, you have to drive it deep within you through meditation. Swami Vivekananda says, tell yourself again and again, I am He, Soham, until the truth tingles with every drop of your blood. You are convinced about it. If you start here, it will not work. It will be brainwashing only. You first have to study it properly. You have to understand what they say. Work it out logically. So you have at least you personally have no more doubts about it. Raise every possible question. And then you have no more doubts. Then you drive it deep. If you are not convinced, simply repeating it will not help. It will not be helpful. Then at the end of this process comes an intuitive grasp that yes, till now I was thinking I am this individual, separate individual from all, but now I realize the screen. I realize myself as consciousness in which all this is shining. One unbroken, unchanging consciousness. That is Turiyam, the fourth. Okay, and one more question, then we will stop. We can carry this outside the hall because it's already late. Yeah, yeah. Yes. Yes.
Brain is a hardware, mind is a software.
Okay, you can look at it that way. Actually, in Vedanta, they say the mind is independent of the brain. When they say Jivatma, you say Punarjanma and all that. So, consciousness plus the mind goes from body to body. So, when the body goes, the brain also goes with it. So, unless the mind is in some sense independent of the brain, it cannot go from one body to another. So, Punarjanma won't be possible. Anyhow, but that does not affect this discussion. Mind is an entity, a material entity. It may be a subtle material entity, but it is a material entity. Now see, the problem here is ignorance. Where is ignorance? Ignorance cannot be in my thumb. Any knowledge and any ignorance must be in the mind only. See, the Turiya is perfect. Just now itself Turiya is perfect. You are perfect as it is. But the problem is you don't know it, and this don't know is called ignorance. Where is this ignorance? In your mind. Now where does knowledge have to come? Knowledge can come only in one place. It cannot come in my thumb or it cannot come in the air, it can come in the mind only. And the principle is, where there is ignorance, there knowledge must come. About which there is ignorance, about that knowledge must come. Two principles. The ashraya and the vishaya of ajnana and jnana must be same. The ashraya and vishaya of jnana and ajnana must be same for jnana to destroy ajnana. What does that mean? Ashraya means where there is ignorance, there only knowledge must come. So my guru's jnana cannot destroy my ajnana, because ignorance is here. And Gaudapada Acharya or Shankaracharya's jnana cannot destroy my ajnana. Jnana must come here itself. Then only it will destroy my ajnana. It is in the mind, it is not in Turiya. Now, the second point, the Vishaya also must be same. I have ajnana about physics. If I learn biology, my ajnana about physics will not be destroyed, because the Vishaya of that ajnana is physics. So, I must get knowledge about physics. The Vishaya of the jnana and ajnana must be same, they must coincide. So, the Vishaya of the ajnana here is myself. Who am I? I do not know myself. So, I need knowledge about myself. That will destroy the ignorance about myself. And both of this must come in the mind only. Ignorance is in the mind, knowledge must also come in the mind. There the ignorance is removed. The problem is now, it is like your grandfather has left you 1 crore rupees. So, you are crorepati. But if somebody asks you, why are you begging for money? It is true that my grandfather left me 1 crore rupees, but which bank it is in, where is the passbook, I do not know anything. So, you are crorepati, but you have to beg. Similarly, you are Turiya, you are beyond samsara, no dukkha can touch you, but you are miserable samsari. I feel horrible, I am suffering from day to day. Even if I am Turiya, it is not available to me because it is clouded by my ignorance. I do not know it. That is all.
They say that any type of intellectual arguments cannot make you come out of the suffering.
Yeah.
So in that case, they automatically ask you to sit in meditation for long hours, or depending upon the
True.
school of Buddhism.
Yeah.
So is it a shortcut to the meditation which you are talking about?
In Vedanta, the position is this. A good question. In Hindu philosophy also, the yogis say this. When you study all this, yogis say you are just distracting your mind. Distracting. Do not distract. Calm down your mind, sit quietly, you will get realization. Do not read so many books or attend lectures. That is the same philosophy what you are saying. But in Buddhism there are other schools. There is the Madhyamika school, the Tibetan Buddhists. For the Madhyamika school, the entire thing is based on reasoning. Now, Advaita Vedanta, what it tells you is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Hear these truths, grasp them, reason, then meditate upon it. What Advaita Vedanta discourages you, simply sit quietly. That will not help. Just as in common sense, I want to master mechanical engineering or something. Now I will say, okay, I will sit quietly. Won't help. Won't help. You will be in trouble, deep trouble within a few days. So you have to get back. One Swami put it very beautifully. He said, no, the Buddhists say, no, one intuitive feeling will come. So one Swami put it very beautifully. He said, we do not believe in intuition, we believe in tuition. Yes. So in Vedanta, meditation is important, very important. But you grasp the truth, be convinced about it, then stay there. That staying meditation, at that level meditation is helpful. Then you stop reading books and the truth which you have grasped, try to assimilate it by staying in that truth. That I am the Turiyam. I have understood it, I believe it, now let me feel it. Their meditation is helpful. It is called Nididhyasanam. That is the approach of Advaita Vedanta. But in Hinduism, Patanjali Yoga will say, no, what you said is correct. It will sit only quietly in meditation. Okay, we will just leave it here. Should we wrap up now? It is 8 o'clock. Thank you very much. I had a wonderful time here and I hope